Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey, welcome back to Daily Dose Radio. What a blessing it is for me to be addressing you today on this wonderful day that the Lord has made. And we're looking today at Psalm 123, and I'm going to do all of verse 3. It's just 2 phrases, so we're going to stick to our phrasing methodology here. So we're going to do verse 3 today and talk about persecution and some other interesting things like that. So let me just read verse 3 from my translation. Be gracious to us, O Lord, be gracious to us, for we are greatly wearied of contempt. Again, that's my translation. Be gracious to us is repeated here, so we know it's important. And we have this important word graciousness, which is also a word that we've seen countless times. We saw it in Psalm 91. Well, it's probably in Psalm 91, but I mean Psalm 119. We saw it over and over there. Part of the prayer of the psalmist in 119 was that God would be gracious and teach. We've seen that, and that God would be gracious and deliver. Here we have it as a prayer of the church, and we go from the likeness or the similitude of servants and maidens to actual prayer seeking God's hand of graciousness. So we're now, as servants, beseeching Him, be gracious to us, because that's what servants do. They look to the hand of the master. That's what maidens do. They look to the hand of the mistress. And so our eyes are to the Lord our God until He be gracious to us. And now it's not just an idea. It's not just a word picture. Now it becomes reality. Be gracious to us. We say, oh, well, I'm going to wait until He's gracious to me. Now, instead of that being an idea, a motivation, now we're actually making it something real, a real live prayer that I am asking God to do. And it's so important to me that I say it twice. Be gracious to us, O Lord, be gracious to us. The church down through the ages has cried out for graciousness, for mercy, and for peace, because the church through the ages has been contemptible to the world. For we are greatly wearied of contempt. And so we still today are greatly wearied of contempt. The devil and his crowd, the enemy and his group of agents, seek to condemn us, to weary us with their words and their logic, so-called, their science, so-called, and they try to degrade and defame the Word of God and the faith of the church in the Word of God. And so our prayer is, be gracious to us. We are wearied of it. And so we have seen the church persecuted from the very beginning until this very moment. The 20th century, the 1900s, was the bloodiest century for the church ever. More people were killed because of their Christian faith than in any other time in recorded history. And it looks like that the 21st century is going to be as bloody as well. So we are wearied of contempt. And Jesus told us that this was going to happen. He gave us a blessing. He said, blessed are you when men persecute you. Let me read that from Matthew chapter 5. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and say all manner of evil against you falsely for my name's sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so they persecuted the prophets which were before you. So we are asking for graciousness because the contempt of the world. And you'll notice when he says they revile, persecute, say all manner of evil against you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived there, and we've been there for quite some time, haven't we? So we just need to continue to ask God for graciousness. And Peter tells us as well. He says, it's wonderful when you're persecuted as a Christian. Don't be persecuted as an evildoer, but stand for the Lord and allow the contempt of the wicked to speak. Now, tomorrow we're going to find out who it is that is greatly wearying the church. I hope you'll join me for that in verse 4 on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.